Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Kellam. Welcome to this week's edition of Encounter. This week on Encounter, we have a couple of teenagers who have helped keep Habitat for Humanity on track during the pandemic times, and the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity, Amy Winans, is here as well. So we're going to meet the two teenagers. We'll talk to Amy about this house, and here we go. Amy, welcome back to Encounter.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. Now, tell me about this house.
This house is our BOCES project number 2. So I think the last time we talked, I shared with you this incredible idea we had about bringing a house to the BOCES campus, having students build it and delivering it. That was so successful, we were crazy enough to try it again. So this is our second, and it's actually right around the corner from the first. So built by the construction trade students at Broome County BOCES, picked up and lifted and moved here, but not without a great pause. Yeah. So here we were humming along in 2020, and then pandemic hit, COVID hit, school shut down, our site shut down, and so we had this lovely house in progress sitting on campus at BOCES, lonely, and just eager and hoping to bring it back to work. So the students did not get as far along as anticipated. The hope was that it would bring it to completion in June, and we would celebrate with them moving it in June into this spot. But because our work shut down in March, I think that was the last time we sat down, we weren't really sure what was going to happen. But we were able to, in the fall, to get the students back enough to watch it happen, move it into place, and here we are.
So describe the house for me.
Sure. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-story ranch house. It is simple, decent, affordable in square footage, so it will be energy efficient, perfect for a family to dwell in. We have an awesome donated kitchen. So it's probably one of the fancier kitchens we've ever had, with some glass doors, and I love it. So our Habitat volunteers picked up where the students left off. So they've put in the hardwood flooring, they've done the trim work. Simple, decent, affordable is also quite beautiful. Painted white, so it is a clean slate for the next family that moves in. Wonderful yard will be planted as the summer rolls on. Perfect place for a family to enjoy. Our hope is that lumber prices are going to start to fall. We still have decking to do and things like that, so we're on our way, but it sure would be nice if we could see those prices drop.
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand that a couple of teenagers helped not only keep Habitat on track with some contributions of time and talent, but they even helped pour the footers. Is that right?
They did. So, Habitat has its own time. And there are moments where we just have to go. There's oftentimes we wait and wait and wait, but when it is go time, it is go time. So sometimes a vendor or a service provider might be ready, and whether or not, here they come. So we needed some labor on a summer day that happened to be the height of vacation season. Not that anyone really went anywhere, but we were a little short-handed. We needed help moving gravel and concrete. So when I'm not executive director, I'm also Mrs. Winans. And Mrs. Winans has some good teenager friends of my daughter. So we rallied the troops, and some Union Endicott seniors came along early one morning and helped us out. And we would not have gotten that job done had they not done that.
So Amy Winans' daughter is with us as well, and that's Abby. And Abby is a senior at Union Endicott High School and off to college in the fall. But in the meantime, working with Habitat for Humanity, like you had a choice, what do they call them? They're not volunteers, they are...
Voluntold.
Yeah, voluntold.
Yeah.
But besides helping pour the footers, what else did you do?
I felt like it was really important to protect the people who are trying to help us. So I have been in a program called Tigertronics and also some tech classes for a very long time. So I'm rather familiar with 3D printers. So for both our like our necessary workers, and the Habitat volunteers, I created face masks and face shields along with ear protectors, which are used to shorten the elastic on masks, and also a special tool that goes on your keychain that allows you to open doors and press buttons without contacting them, because I felt like it was very important for the people who are trying to help us, for us to help them help us.
Yeah. As soon as you said that key thing, I've got one in my pocket.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, right. Look, there it is. I think you made that.
Yeah, this is actually one of the ones I made.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So it looks like the number 9, and you can use it to punch in the keys on the ATM.
Yep. So this part hooks on any latch door and pulls it open.
Sure.
Whereas the little nub on the end you can use to press buttons, and that way, if you're using, say, an ATM or a vending machine, or need to put in the code on a locked door, you'd be able to do so without everyone needing to mix germs.
Great. So so you learned to sew the masks, did you? And then these other things that you made, what kind of direction did you have? Where did you find the designs?
Well, the original design that we found for the face shields was provided to me by a tech teacher that he found on a particular website. But in collaboration with a lot of the tech teachers at UE, my father, and a few of my friends that are able to use CAD, we were able to modify it into a design that was a little bit more streamlined and better for mass production, because it cut down on the amount of filament that needed to be used, and also made it lighter for people to wear, so it wasn't as cumbersome and would slip less. So the design was both something that was found and something that was produced. So
CAD is computer assisted donuts.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought it was. And you obviously didn't do this all by yourself, or did you have?
No, I enlisted the help of some other local teenagers and also some of my school's tech directors to use their personal 3D printers to also help start producing some of these. And in fact, my godmother donated a 3D printer to me and my father's efforts to trying to put out as many of these as we could. So I was printing at least 10 to 15 a day using my 2 3D printers.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many total did you make? Do you remember? Did you count?
I didn't quite count, but we must have made hundreds. Yeah. It definitely, because we were cranking out 15 to 20 a day on our 3D printers, because one of the things that's important for people to realize is it takes significantly longer than most would think to print off one of these pieces, because it's a tiny pointed nozzle that is shooting out the tiniest little piece of plastic, and that plastic needs to layer and layer and cool and layer, and so it can take hours just to print something that's tiny. So that was part of the important thing of streamlining the design so that it could be printed faster without being sloppy and falling apart. So getting 20 a day out of 2 3D printers is amazing. And I was doing this for months, so I'm sure we definitely made a lot.
Right. How big a help was this to, the question I don't like to hear news people say is, how important was it that, because the answer is always, oh, it's so important. So I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to say it did help, right?
It was incredibly impactful because the first call that went out to the community was for contractors, building trades to give up their PPE. So if you had a dust mask, face shields, goggles, those were needed immediately for healthcare. So we went to our warehouse and pulled all of our stock, as did many Habitat for Humanities across the country. So we gave it all away. And then it became very expensive. And then it became very hard to acquire. So how do we help the essential workers, but then also get ourselves back to business? So without the women who were sewing cloth masks, without the help of Abby, without the help of tech teachers across the community, taking these 3D printers, their scrap fabric, their elastic, these collaborations were critical to getting nonprofits back to work as the second wave. So we have our essential people, our emergency personnel, but then we also have folks that need food, folks that need shelter, folks that need clothing, the ministries that are, especially as people were losing their jobs, the things that were so needed. So not only did that effort help Habitat get our workers back, it extended out. I know that they were made for other nonprofits across the community too.
Great.
So that was great.
If I may add, another important thing to consider is that the majority of the volunteers at Habitat are in that range where they're like critically at risk, because there are a lot of seniors who volunteer at Habitat, and there are also those who have like minor medical conditions and things of the sort. So it's very important to make sure that they're protected so that they're in their best health to lend help to those who need it.
Very good.
And that kind of, if I made it, sort of, I'm taking over your show, Jeff. That really brings us to really Emily and her project. That's sort of the transition for us.
That was going to be my
Was it?
my
See,
segue as well.
You
But
forget that years ago I used to do this show too. So I got your no. So in getting back to work and recognizing what Abby was saying about the age of our volunteers.
let's not get too personal here.
Yeah, let's not. I get it. So when we had the kids come that day to pour the footers, it was immediately noticeable that there wasn't a place to wash hands. So that's typical on a Habitat construction site. You don't have water in place, so everybody's Purelling, doing the best you can,
Sure.
Taking your drinking water and scrubbing your hands off, shaking it off and moving on. But now we have a whole different issue, don't we? Now we're looking at tools and we're trying to keep the site safe and sanitary. So that's where Emily comes in. So we have these wonderful kids that are helping us, but even that day, helping us in that moment wasn't enough. We have one young woman, voluntold daughter, of course, who over the years has grown from being voluntold to being a critical part of who we are, to bringing friends along that look beyond the day. And I'm so thankful for Emily for having done that for us.
So we'll meet Emily next. Emily is another senior at Union Endicott, and is also a Boy Scout, and has just made her Eagle. In fact, I meant to wear my little Eagle pin. My son is an Eagle Scout, and I forgot to put that on. It was all I could do to remember to bring a microphone. We've heard Amy Winans, the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity in Broome County, serving Tioga County as well. We've heard described for us a little bit about the project. Tell me, from your point of view, how you got involved in it and what the need was and how you designed that sink.
Yeah, so I've been involved with Habitat from a very young age. Since I moved to New York, Mrs. Winans has always been there, like, hey, you should come to this Habitat thing and help out. So, when it came to time for me to pick a project for my Eagle Scout project, it was kind of a no-brainer to do something with Habitat. And so we kind of came up with the idea that, hey, these sites are a little dirty. Maybe we should do something to sanitize these a little. So we found blueprints, how-to guide on Handyman magazine of how to make a portable sink designed for RVs, families who want to keep things clean, have a nice little workstation. And so we're like, hey, we could really use this on one of our build sites. So we that will be my Eagle project. Yeah, that'll be great. So we collected the funds, did everything. We had some great volunteers helping out with the woodworking, getting everything together, plumbing, all of that. And it came together great.
And as I understand it from my son's Eagle project, you have to enlist others to help you, right? This is not a Lone Ranger kind of project.
Yeah, it's very much on leadership. So it's very much you have to get friends, family, volunteers, anyone you can to tell them this is what we're going to do. Please help us do it.
Okay. I want you to show us the sink, and we don't have to demonstrate it, pumping water and so on, but first tell me about your scouting experience. You're older brother was in scouting, right?
Yeah, so just scouting in general has always been really interesting to me. I couldn't officially join until 2 years ago, but I've always been right there beside him since I was in kindergarten. And so it was always like, half scout, Emily. So like I was with him through Cub Scouts and like all the family activities. And then like as we went on to like join Boy Scouts and do like the more like high adventure stuff. And then I finally joined, I was old enough to join Venture Crew, which is a co-ed Boy Scouts program, which allowed girls in before they became Scouts BSA. Right. So I did that for, let's see, since I was eligible to join. And then finally they let girls in, and it's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna take a little walk over here, and for those of you on the radio, listen carefully. It will be explained in detail. For those of you watching on TV, you don't have to use your imaginations. We're gonna take a look at this sink. Okay, let's take a look at the sink. This is built out of wood, but with a rather sophisticated. This is not a camp setup here.
Yeah.
Must have been donated sink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a funny story with that. We actually just like went into Lowe's and we're like, hey, this sink is cool. Could we get that? How much is that? Could we possibly like buy that? And then they're like, oh, that old sink? Yeah, we were just gonna give that away. If you want that for free, you could totally take it. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
That helped the budget a little bit.
And it did cause a little bit of a bump when it came to plumbing because it had different notches and stuff to wire it in.
Sure.
But, it all got figured out in the end.
So this looks like, for the folks listening on radio, it's a table about, 4.5 feet long, maybe 5. And the sink is on one side of it. And then underneath, what do we got?
So there's a tube running from the bottom of the sink into a bucket where it'll collect all the used water. And on the other side, you'll have, you have your source water from a water container going to a foot pump on the floor. And then that'll go up to the faucet so you step on the foot pump and it'll bring your water up.
Okay. And then it goes down and then you just take that bucket and dump it somewhere on site. Exactly. Yeah, because I remember I've worked on some habitat sites and you're right, washing your hands before that meal that's often donated by church folk. And in fact, I see the cookies over there now. So you've mentioned one bump. Were there other bumps?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's always going to be something when building something. Like some of the wood we realized was bowing a really concerning way. So with that bow, the legs couldn't fold in. So we had to flip that out. So if you look closely, there's some minor painting details that might not be as smooth as they could be. Right. But
had you done carpentry before?
Not a lot. I definitely haven't led anything like building this before. But I helped my brother with his Eagle project, the random project around the house here and there.
Yeah.
But,
so cutting the wood was no problem. You learned to do that quickly.
Yep.
And then measure twice, cut once.
yes.
I don't pay attention to that rule. And so this is wonderful, and it's also portable. It folds up.
Yep. Yeah, so there's a bottom shelf on it, so you can just take that shelf out, take the bucket out, take the bottom pipe out, and then it'll fold up and be really easy to move from one construction site to another.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, and that's important because this is not the only house. So once this house is completed, it'll go to the next site.
Yep.
Stored in the trailer. And,
yeah.
Okay. This is great. Thank you very much for talking with us. Now, what other, what was your other favorite merit badge or favorites?
Let's see. There's plenty of fun merit badges that I've had. Climbing was really fun. Swimming was interesting because I had to do it with a bunch of younger scouts who were just started out in scouting, and I was also just starting out in scouting. I was 6 years older than them, but we're in the same spot.
Right. That's why I never went much further than tenderfoot as a scout. I couldn't swim. This week on Encounter, we're at the latest home being constructed in Binghamton by Broome County's Habitat for Humanity affiliate. Our guests this week are Emily Amlin, a UE senior who just earned her Eagle Scout Award building a portable sink for Habitat work sites, and Amy Winans, who's the executive director of Broome Habitat for Humanity. And now here's Abby Winans, also a UE senior and a Habitat volunteer.
I guess I wanted to say that it felt really good to be able to give back to the Habitat crew because they've given so much to me. Like, I can't tell you how many school projects have been either them helping me complete it or they're the center of it. In fact, one of my award-winning reflections projects from back in elementary school was completely centered on the Habitat crew. And they've gotten to see me grow up, and I've grown up with them, and they've definitely been a huge influence on me. So it feels amazing to be able to give back to the people that I've spent so much time with.
Sure. With the Habitat crew, they have, now I have to call attention to the fact that we're not wearing masks because we are all vaccinated. And we feel comfortable. There is a little bit of space between us, not as much as there should be. Yeah. So the crew through this whole pandemic, even though they took a bit of a break, coming back, everybody has to be pretty careful.
Very careful. I mean, and not everybody came back. You know, it was we started out in pods. We started out first floor, second floor. So we introduced things as mandates came in and out, as guidance changed. Mask wearing, of course. We were fortunate when we did come back that we could work outside. It got a little more complicated during these winter months. And what we're interviewing now is our lunch circle. So before, everyone would be kind of huddled together in a smaller room, but now we're utilizing the basement because you can easily socially distance there. And now as everyone's gotten vaccinated, the question is mask on, mask off. You know, still there's social mores, there's concerns, there's questions that, you know, we're all navigating.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what's been just outstanding is the respect that they've all had for each other. And also me, you know, that, my staff represents a broad age group. We have Binghamton University students that want to work with us. So just because my crew might be vaccinated, it doesn't mean that our partner families are at that point yet, because, you know, of course, everyone was being let in at different times.
Sure.
So we had a lot of questions, some dancing to do, but we've made it work. And I think what's made it work is the love and respect that we all have for each other. That's something that I'm very, very proud of. This crew is a family, for sure. They are friends. They take care of each other, and that's really what's gotten us all through this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is our mutual respect for one another.
And one last thing about Habitat for Humanity, the Broome County affiliate of Habitat for Humanity, fundraising during the past year. You've not been able to do Raising the Roof, except did you do it virtually?
We did not.
Okay.
Yes, in a sense. We just asked for direct donations.
Yeah.
And we did really quite well with that. But it's been hard because fundraising is also friend-raising. That's where you see your supporters. So we just last week did something with Blaze Pizza. We did okay. You know, people are venturing out a little bit. We've done very well with just those loving gifts of people remembering us, knowing that this has been a tough time. Our golf tournament is on for the fall, so we're looking forward to that.
Good. And we'll have more information about that as we get closer. So this half hour we've been talking with Emily Amlin, who is an Eagle Scout now as a result of having completed her project, which she's described to us on this program. And then Abby Winans is also a senior, along with Emily, at Union Endicott High School, a long time, since she was 3 years old, Habitat volunteer. And also Amy Winans, who's the executive director of Habitat for Humanity in our area. So I'm Jeff Kellam. Thank you for being with us. I'm the parish associate at the Union Presbyterian Church in Endicott, hoping that in the coming week you'll be gentle with people and with yourself. We still have some time left, so I can tell you about Habitat for Humanity. A decent home provides the strength, stability, and independence that families need. And Habitat for Humanity's vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Habitat homeowners pay an affordable mortgage, receive financial education, and help build their homes alongside volunteers. Your financial support will help families continue building with Habitat in your community and around the world. Habitat for Humanity is a partnership. It's not a giveaway program. As I said, Habitat's homeowner families buy the houses that Habitat builds and renovates. Habitat homeowners also invest hundreds of hours of their own labor working alongside volunteers. And as a result, Habitat for Humanity houses are affordable to low-income families around the world. I've read that in fiscal year 2017, Habitat directly helped 3.5 million people secure decent, affordable housing, and an additional 2.6 million people now have the potential to improve their housing conditions through a range of indirect services. Thanks to your financial support, Habitat for Humanity is building and renovating decent, affordable housing in all 50 states and more than 70 other countries. Locally, Broome County Habitat for Humanity is part of that global nonprofit housing organization operated on Christian principles that seeks to put God's love into action by building homes and communities and hope. Broome County Habitat for Humanity is dedicated to eliminating substandard housing locally and worldwide through constructing, rehabilitating, and preserving homes, by advocating for fair and just housing policies, and by providing training and access to resources to help families improve their shelter conditions. Habitat for Humanity was founded on the conviction that every man, woman, and child should have at least a simple, durable place to live in dignity and safety, and that decent shelter and decent communities should be a matter of conscience and action for all. Broome County Habitat for Humanity's mission statement reads like this: seeking to put God's love into action, Broome County Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope in both Broome and Tioga counties. For more information, go to broomehabitat.org. You can find out how to donate, whether volunteers are needed, and there are some COVID restrictions still, and how to become a homeowner. Or you can call 607-239-4783. That's 607-239-4783. So far, about 30 Habitat homes have been built in the greater Binghamton area. Once again, broomehabitat.org is where you'll find more information. Our thanks to Amy Winans for helping us with our teenage guests for today's program, for helping to make that arrangement. Encounter is produced by the Broome County Council of Churches in cooperation with WBNG-TV, with the audio portion of the program carried on the radio stations of Town Square Media. Encounter videos are archived on YouTube, so to find a program that you've missed or to share one that you would like to see again, go to the Broome County Council of Churches website and click on the Encounter tab. That's at broomecouncil.net, www.broomecouncil.net. Again, finally, this is Jeff Kellam, stretching as long as I can so I can invite you to join us next week for Encounter.